Anthony Smith has weighed in once again on the controversy of the lack of stoppage during his fight with Glover Teixeira. And Anthony came out and said, look, these are my rules. If you sit in my corner, you do not stop that fight. The end. I can stop my own fight, and if I'm not willing to do it, then I don't want you to do it. The referee, nobody can control, and I feel safe under these rules. I'm expanding on his thought just a little bit, but this is what he's saying. This is the genesis. And it's a very bothersome spot for me. Now, I care about Anthony Smith on a personal level, but I would think that I don't want to see that happen to any athlete. That's just not what we're doing here. That's not what this sport is. This sport is just that, it is a sport. And nobody in any sport is expected to continue on when they can no longer continue on. If Tiger Woods pulled something, Tiger Woods is out. He will wait until the next week and he will fly somewhere else that's sunny and beautiful and he will play 18 holes that day, just by example. If Tom Brady pulls a hamstring or gets hurt in any kind of a fashion or even has a fever or a cough, he's not going in that day. And if he does go in and something happens in gameplay, he goes right then. And it's not even a question. It would never be questioned. But for some reason within this sport, there's some kind of a bravado that is built in. I do understand that to some extent. I do understand the macho-ness and the bravery and the toughness and the heart and the guys want to show that. I do understand that to some extent. But there is a different function that is the role of a cornerman. And an athlete, even if it's his corner and it's his choice, does not have the ability to take some of those functions away. Let me give you an example. This is going to be not apples to apples here, but it's an example that I know that you will understand. Imagine that I am the district attorney. I'm a DA somewhere, and you're my friend. And you come to me and you say, Chael, listen, I got to tell you something. I murdered 3 people, but I don't want you to charge me. We're friends. We have a relationship. I'm confessing this to you. It's not going to happen again. There's a little more to this. I don't want you to charge me. You can't do anything. If I honor that, if I go, okay, you're my friend, I'm in a position, I'm going to do you a favor, I can now no longer be the DA. It's as simple as that. I can no longer have that job. And if I choose to not charge you, I also then need to go in and resign. This is one of the spots. And if you're a corner and you're asked to corner Anthony Smith, and it comes with a caveat, which is you cannot do one of your sworn licensed duties, you need to say no. No, I can't be in your corner. I need to do my full potential of this job. It is a licensed job. It is a privileged licensed job. And I cannot agree to do it while having a backdoor deal with you that says that I don't do it, that I do not execute, should I need to execute, the highest and greatest position that I can. I just think it's a tough spot. Look, Anthony is not to blame here at all. And I'm a little hesitant to even point fingers at the corner. These guys do know their athlete. They train with them every day. They see these things every day. They have these conversations. They made a vow and a promise to him. I will just say that moving forward, I think that this was a teachable moment at best. At best, and perhaps I am being a little generous here. At best, this was a teachable moment. And not just for Anthony's corner, but for athletes all over the place. You guys may remember Don Fry versus Omri Batesh. Now, you got to go way back to the 90s, and you got to be a hardcore fan to know that fight. And if you're not or didn't, and you're a subscriber to UFC Fight Pass, go and look that fight up, because this would be another example of a fight that had to be stopped. Absolutely just simply went too far. For many of the same reasons, which is Omri Batesh just reached a level of exhaustion. Once you're exhausted, you can no longer defend yourself. It's as simple as that. Talking to Big John McCarthy, and he officiated the first ever UFC. And he did the second, and he did the third. And one of the rules that was put on him is essentially that there were no rules. Now, I have to use the word essentially because even at the time when they were advertising, there was no rules. There was a lot of rules. There was never a time, of course, that you could poke somebody in the eyes. There was never a time you could do what's called a fishhook. There was never a time that you could do a small joint manipulation, which would mean to grab one finger and just bend it, or to grab a guy's ear and try. There was always rules, but they were pretty wide open. That is true. And it was also said that there was no judges, which is true. There was no judges and there was no time limits. Now, that happened to work because most fights were about 2.5 minutes and it was pretty clear, and you pull the guy out of there. But Big John on day one, while in the ring, refereeing a match where an athlete did not tap out and was not unconscious, had to stop a fight. And the promoter at the time came to him and scolded him and said, "You don't stop fights. We don't have any hand in these fights. It's tap out or knockout, the end." And Big John said, "Then I'll get my stuff and go home. That's not what I do. I'm here to keep these guys safe. I'm here to be an official. When the point is proven, should they not be cautious enough, aware enough, or just too tough for their own good to tap out, I will get him out of here." Promoter said, "Okay." Big John was right. Big John was 100% right, but I just share that with you because timelines of this sport are very relevant. And if you don't know some of these stories, sometimes it's hard to form a decision. But there's a lot of ways to win a fight. Disqualification's a way to win a fight. I've heard people say that John Jones is undefeated because his only loss is a disqualification. Disqualification sits there in the rule book right next to knockout and TKO and tap out. There's a lot of ways to win a fight. Corner stoppage, not answering the stool, throwing the tap. There's a lot of ways to win a fight. It's all within the rules. It's all what we all agreed to. And if you want to be in somebody's corner and they invite you and ask you, it's a big compliment. It means they trust you. I want to go to battle with you. It's a big compliment. But you do not remove your greatest tool, let alone any of your tools, ahead of time, which in this case is the ability to stop the fight.